Now recording.
I tried that life but said goodbye. I'm not always polite, but I get the job done. Who says that work can never be fun? I'm simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Yeah. Yeah. Unprofessional.
Good evening, everybody. You know, first, welcome back to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I am your host, Webby. Join me tonight, we got Mr. Edquist.
Hey guys,
Edquist, it's been a
good
while.
to be back.
It's been a while.
It has.
And we got our other co-host, Mr. Devin.
Hey everybody, how's it going? How's it going?
You know, now that Craig has finally stepped across the line, I'm going to have to talk to Ross, the musician and the vocalist, the artist that does the SU intro music, because Craig inserted himself into the intro music. So now I can maybe get Ross to hate him. 'Cause I think Ross was an avid Craig supporter. It's like, no, fuck Craig. Craig sucks.
Blasphemy.
Anyway, this week we're going to be talking about Castlevania on Netflix, the Netflix show. Not the video game.
We already talked about the video game. That was a while ago.
Did we? Did we do one on the video game?
Pretty sure we did.
I know we've mentioned the video game. I don't know if
we didn't do one specifically on the video game. We dove into like a long conversation, a video game conversation, when we were talking about the show.
Yeah, and I know
I
we talked a lot about like the was it the Belmont history or the Beaumont history
Yes.
or whatever?
The Belmont history.
Belmont history. Anyway, we all watched the second season.
Rob watched the whole thing because he hadn't seen the first season.
Yeah.
No, I had seen the first season.
Oh, see.
Oh, I thought you said you watched the whole thing.
Well, I meant I watched the whole season of season 2.
Ah, okay. There you go.
So, it's a show.
Oh, thanks for joining us here at Simply Unprofessional.
Yeah.
That was the review of Castlevania. It's a show.
Well, I mean, okay, so last season kind of left off with what's the guy's name? Not the Belmont guy. What's his first name?
Trevor.
Trevor.
Oh
yeah, that's right. Because they could. Cypher ends up like he explains why like who it's descended from, and she's like, "I'm gonna call you Treffy" or something like that, or
Yeah.
he's like, "No, don't do that."
Treffer.
She's like, "Too late."
Treffy. Yep.
I love
Yup.
Cypher.
Silva's my favorite character in the show, hands down. She's the perfect.
Am I saying her name? It's Silpha? What?
It's Silva.
I thought it was
Silpha.
Oh, I thought it was like Cypher. Yeah, oh, okay. Anyway,
No, it's Silpha.
the mage.
Yeah, Mage OP. I just gotta say that. She's way OP.
I love it.
Nah.
But anyway, last season kind of left off with her and Belmont finding Alucard.
Alucard.
And they
Also
had
known
like
as Dracula spelled backwards.
yeah, they all had kind of like a little scuffle, and then they decided to all team up because they were gonna go essentially hunt down Dracula. And I'm pretty sure that's roughly where the last season left off.
That's almost exactly where the last season left off. I think it was like that and like one other scene, and then that was the end of it.
This season picks up right where that left off, and now Dracula is building an army, and he's called forth a bunch of generals from across the land, and then he has two. They're called what? Forge Masters or
Forge Masters, yep.
yeah. I like
Forge
those guys.
Masters,
Those guys
Hector
are
and
sweet.
Isaac.
What was it? Hector and Isaac?
Yep.
Yeah, Isaac's the one that I like.
Yeah, Isaac's my
Fuck
boy.
Hector. I mean, I liked Hector at first, but he turns into a little bitch. So. But I remember messaging you, Devin, when Isaac ripped apart fucking, was it
Godbrand.
Godbrand, yeah, who's a vampire general. And mind you, yes, these guys are Forge Masters, but these guys are humans.
They're effectively just necromancers. They're effectively necromancers. What they are.
Right. But this guy took on a vampire general and fucking killed him in like a moment. It was sweet. I really like Isaac. I like the whole like the backstory behind. Well, honestly, I like the backstory behind both of them, which is really. I mean, that's part of the reason why I really liked Hector. But then Hector just kind of fell apart there at the end for me. So
He made his choices.
yeah, he made all the wrong ones, but I mean, I guess that's yet to be determined.
I mean, they're both still alive.
Yeah, but that crazy ass bitch. Anyway, so why don't you guys talk a little bit about the premise of this season and if you guys have any questions?
I mean, you kind of covered the premise. It's, our troop of heroes going to try to kill Dracula. We do find out over the course of the show that Dracula he has no intentions, and that's so okay. We get another general who pops in, Camilla. She pops in and she kind of starts taking over. She kind of starts back talking Dracula and kind of whispering in other people's ears, trying to overthrow Dracula and build up her side. And it's kind of through that we kind of find out that Dracula's he has no intention of winning this war per se. It's kind of a death march. He has, every intention of just taking him and all the humans and vampire kind out together. He kind of has no real intention of surviving. He hasn't fed in forever. So he's getting weak-ish. Still pretty spry.
Yeah, I like his definition of weak. Man.
Well, I mean, I went by what they said in the show. They're like, yeah, like even Godbrand, he was like, yeah, like he hasn't ate in a while. He's like, he hasn't ate in a while. He's weaker. He's like, but I said I want to fuck with him. Basically, that's what he was like. I said I want to fuck with him.
Yeah,
and we very much saw at the end, like he's fucking.
Yeah, because he essentially, like he told his two human Forge Master guys that they were essentially in charge. And all of the generals were going to listen to them because Dracula said so. Now, he told Hector, he's only shared his true intentions with Isaac. But he had told Hector that they essentially just want to cull the human population. But Dracula...
That's what he told the other vampires, too, that they were going to be basically kept as like, breeding, stocking cattle and whatnot.
But Dracula, you find out his true intention is he just wants to kill off all of humanity. He literally wants to watch the world burn. And I forget. I lost my train of thought. Continue. I'm sorry. It's been one of those days.
I mean, yeah, he effectively wants to watch the world burn. So he's kind of he's having his Forge Masters, which we find out they're the ones who kind of are creating all these other demons. They're kind of resurrecting dead creatures and dead people as these demons. So they're supplying themselves with an army, which is one of the reasons why Camilla wanted, specifically targeted, not Isaac. Who's the other one?
Hector.
Targeted Hector because he could make her an army. That was kind of the whole point. And then going back to the other side, we just have possibly the bestest D&D group of all time. In the fact that you have Trevor and Alucard are basically children arguing amongst each other at all times. And the best part is, like, the reason why I love Silva so much is she's the perfect glue for that group. Like, if her personality was any different, that group would be annoying. It wouldn't work. but she's the perfect glue that kind of holds it all together and makes it work. And I love it. I love it. Just saying. I know I'm kind of jumping around, as we always do. I would love to actually have a cohesive review at some point one day, but that requires effort and work, and we don't do that here. We're unprofessional. Ed, would you got anything you want to hop in and say?
Just that Sylph is OP.
Not OP, man.
I mean, talking about jumping around, but
I mean, she really is.
Dracula will mop the floor with her.
She pulls Dracula's castle to the Belmont estate, burns out the magical engines, and doesn't even break a sweat. She's not even tired. She's out as soon as she finishes that. She's like, "Okay, let's go," and freezes an entire pond and turns it into an elevator.
But
like,
to be fair, we don't know how magic works in that world. Magic could very much be, it could have almost no taxing effect on her. It could literally just be she has a connection with nature.
She explains how magic works.
Yeah, she said that whatever she thinks just happens, or whatever she said. I was just like, wow, that bitch OP.
She essentially
right.
told
No,
Alucard
I don't mean like
it's...
I don't mean like that. I mean in the sense of we don't know where the power comes from. Is she generating the power herself?
Yeah,
is she
told
just manipulating the?
I mean, she's basically God.
Well,
she's
God.
Is she manipulating the energies to produce results?
Well, that's the thing. She told Alucard that magic is essentially she's just imposing her will and manifesting it into reality. So it's essentially her willpower has to be strong enough.
Yeah, so that wouldn't tire her out. I mean, that wouldn't be tiring. I mean, that's effectively what it was. So, I mean, basically what you saw between her and the castle, putting it in Vampire turn and Masquerade turns, just a contested willpower rolls, going back and forth. The castle was very willing.
I loved the fight scene where she just had all these like ice spikes and everything, and then all of a sudden she made this like ice wall that the guy started like running along.
He started running on it, and she was just like, "Okay, you want to be that way?"
And she just flips it up and cuts him in half.
Yeah. No, my favorite line from her, hands down, is right after she captures the castle, and then they hear the big drop, and then Alucard's like, "Where'd you?" She's like, "I did it." He's like, "Where'd you put the castle?" Right on top of us.
Yep.
In this building that's held together by sticks and mud. We probably should move. Like, I love the realization in her. Like, the voice actor was perfect in the realization in her voice as she was saying it. It was perfect. It was on top of us in this place made of sticks and mud. Yeah, we should go. Like, perfect. I mean, talk about OP though. I mean, Dracula effectively was a god. He only died because he wanted to. I will say that he only died because he wanted to die. I think if he was fed, there is nobody there.
Oh no! If he was feeding,
even if he wasn't feeding, like they weren't really doing much. Like, to be in all honesty, Trevor and her weren't doing anything against him. It was all Alucard, and if he wanted to kill Alucard, he could have killed Alucard.
I like to think it was kind of a team effort, and the only thing that really fucked him over was sentimentality or whatever. Like when he popped into Alucard's room, and he's just like, "Oh, my boy."
My boy.
If he just didn't give a fuck, then
I'm murdering my boy.
My boy.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the wiki.
My boy.
I'm looking at the wiki, and her name is Sypha Belnades or Belnades. And then it says right after that, known as Cypher Fernandez.
Yeah.
So I guess it's either, depending on.
I think in the games they make a mention of her being like calling her Cypher or something, but I think in the show it's Sylpha. Like I know she pops around.
There's no L at all. It's Sypha.
Yeah, Sypha. There you go.
Sypha.
Maybe
that's why I kept thinking they were saying Cypher. I mean, they did have weird accents. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, yeah, that Dracula fight though, man. That whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, so this is what it'd be like if the Vamp group had to fight Abraham at some point. And then I'm just sitting there, I'm like, Alucard is like Roy, and Dracula is like Abraham, And then I had that thought, and then all of a sudden all of a sudden Dracula started having like sentiment, and Alucard like stabbed him in the chest with the thing. I was like, well, I'm glad Abraham doesn't have any attachments.
I honestly would like to see that happen, though. This is completely in my head. I would love to see that happen. I would love to see like fucking Abraham. Basically, Abraham go on this crusade, very similar to Dracula, of like wiping out everything. So the fucking 18 bands together, like
Hey, he started somewhere. All right.
you get Roy, Hunter, like basically all his children, him, and then like a whole group. We all band together to take down Abraham. That's the final boss of this campaign.
You got me.
I'm in your head, Webby. That's what it is.
You cracked the
I mean,
code.
The only way to beat Abraham, grilled cheese.
Maybe.
He's definitely allergic to grilled cheese.
No, he has the e-food merit.
Right. So he eats grilled cheese, and then it's the one thing.
No.
It's the one thing that stops him
I
up.
would never make a character that would die via grilled cheese.
It binds him up.
He doesn't
see,
have
that's
the
exact-
shit.
It binds up his blood. He can't use his blood anymore. It just stops everything. It just stops him.
That's a reach.
It is. You're right. But that's exactly why you would make a character. That's exactly why you would make your strongest character allergic to grilled cheese, because it would be the least suspected thing ever.
I mean, all my characters do have a weakness.
Yes.
I'm telling you right now, Abraham's just not grilled cheese.
I feel like you're fighting this a little too hard. I feel like it is. Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah. See
I
how
have a
quick you
question.
think it?
I have a question.
I
So
hopefully have
during
an
the Dracula fight scene, Trevor pulls out like the mace whip,
Yeah.
and he's fighting him, and Dracula actually seemed impressed / shocked that he had it.
Well, yeah. It was the original whip that not Gabriel, Leon Belmont used to fight Dracula. It is specifically a whip designed to kill vampires, as we saw when it was,
Glowing red,
and that
ashing.
Well,
them.
no, yeah, like it's immediately ashing. And that shows you how strong Dracula is. These guys were generals, and he's just popping people in the face with them and immediately murdering them. And it hits Dracula, just like it singes slightly. And it's just like, oh, all right,
Okay.
like that's fucked up.
All right, so I knew that was a relic. I just didn't know. I didn't know it was a relic that had been used against him prior, I guess.
Yeah, that was because basically when the realization was we figured out. Well, you can make the assumption because the realization was that like why did when she's asking about Belmont's last name and Trevor, she's talking about the name. He's like that neither of those names are from around here. And then he's like, oh, it goes back to Leon Belmont who moved the whole family here, however many generations ago or whatever. And then they're like, why? And then it was like it cut to Alucard, and he was like, to hunt Dracula. Like, they moved to hunt Dracula, and it was originally his whip. It belonged to him. Mm-hmm. So you kind of can make the assumption that he, him immediately recognizing what it is, like that maybe he went up against Dracula and did not succeed, obviously.
Right.
But yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you had Trevor attacking him from all fronts. You had Sypha coming in and like trying to blast him in the face with fire.
She threw no. He made the like the fire molten.
That was after. That was after.
No. I was trying to think who made that.
She froze his feet to the ground. She put an ice spike through his leg, but she did like a fire, like almost like a dragon breath, like a fire blast to his face. But then she stopped because Alucard was on the other side of him, and she was trying not to hit him. And then at the end of the hallway, near the end of that fight, that's when he was like, I've had enough of all of this. So he just made like a meteor. And shot a meteor
at them, and then she deflects it back. Well, all three of them deflect it back.
Yeah, I really liked this scene because the God Mage, as Rob would call her, uh, essentially held out her hand and stopped this meteor, but it started pushing her back because that's how much force it had. And so Belmont just put his back against her to just kind of help prop her
Brace
up.
her.
And then Alucard stepped in front of her and used his sword to help push it forward. And then it literally just drove Dracula down into it like carved a tunnel through this castle.
They carved a tunnel through the entire castle, and then they fought throughout basically the entire castle.
Yeah, then it pretty much came down to just Dracula versus Alucard.
I love them running down the stairs like they're trying to figure out how far it went. They're like running down the stairs. They go down like 4 flights of stairs. They look like, oh no, keep going. They just keep running down the stairs. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I like how even though Alucard staked him at the end, that didn't actually kill him. Like, he started ashing and everything, but he was still being held together. And then Sypha, like, burnt him, and that's when all, like, the weird soul thing happened.
Yeah, it like stabbed him, and it almost put him in what would be similar to like torpor. Like, he was still there. And then she like burnt his body, and then like, okay, like that's enough of that.
Now, what's with all the weird screaming souls that flew out of him?
I'm guessing that's just his, I guess the equivalency of his powers, or maybe he has the ability to steal souls, and that's how he's gotten so strong.
Oh man,
he has a lot of abilities that we don't know about. Funny sidebar: I actually made a cleric in D&D back at 3.5. In one of the home games, based off Leon Belmont. He was a cleric with the whip who fought undead. That's what he was for.
Funny sidebar: in Vampire the Masquerade, Dracula is a Tzimisce.
I know. I love it.
There you go, Edquist. You can go meet Dracula.
We really can. I mean, he's not a dick, from my understanding.
Edquist,
he just doesn't like the world.
Yeah, I am.
No.
He's not a dick. He just doesn't like the world.
Yeah, that's literally his thing. When the Council of Thorns happened in Vampire the Masquerade, it's my understanding that essentially all vampires were either, hey, join the Camarilla or join the Sabbat. The Giovanni were like, hey, how about we're not going to join either? We just won't get in. We won't interfere in your business. You don't interfere in ours. And some reason they were allowed to do that. And then Dracula was like, I'm not siding with anyone. Leave me the fuck alone. And he just fucked off.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And nobody said shit about it. I don't think anyone really pushed the issue.
And that's when Michael Vikos cut off his penis and became Sasha Vikos.
Yes.
What?
He can grow it back. He's a Tzimisce.
No, that really happened. It was...
No, it absolutely did. It absolutely did. The whole thing of the Council of Thorns is he legitimately castrated himself in the middle of the council.
Yep. He was that angry.
And then declared himself Sasha, and then didn't he kind of declare himself like the de facto leader of the Sabbat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's effectively what happened.
Yep.
Okay.
He was so mad he cut his dick off.
Yep.
Why was he so angry?
Because the Camarilla sucks.
There was a story behind it. I'd have to.
There is a story behind it. I'd have to look it up too. But yeah.
Okay then.
Yeah. You know who I really want to meet though? Reinfield.
Dracula's
cool. I just want to meet him. Like, because in every fictional story ever, Reinfield's either one of two people. He's either like a young and brash dude, or he's like this old. He's Alfred, and he's just like he's Alfred. But if you fuck with him, you're gonna get fucked up. That's usually how it goes in either piece of fiction. It's one of the two. It's always one of the two.
So, after Dracula died, going back to the show, first Dracula before the castle was overrun by Belmont and friends. Dracula had this mirror that he could like see and almost like I guess he could travel through it if he wanted to.
Yeah, it was what was it called? A spying mirror or
A scrying mirror.
something like a scrying mirror, something like that. Yeah.
But anyway, he threw Isaac through it and into the one place that Isaac hated the most.
The desert.
The desert. He's like, I hate the heat.
I mean,
And then so Dracula tosses him into the desert. So we get a glimpse of what's her name? Camilla?
yeah. Well, I mean, so how all this came to be was that she kind of forced him to pop into a city where she had her dudes waiting. So then they raided the city. All of his men raided the city. Then all of her men stormed the castle.
Oh yeah, Undead Pope.
That was fucking gnarly how they blessed the river, and then the mage, when she was teleporting the castle, caused like a tsunami, and it fucking wiped out her army.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes. The castle, like her fighting the castle, and it like basically causing freaking natural disaster in that city. Like as they were fighting.
Well, I mean, you have this
disappearing and
I don't even
reappearing.
know how many ton castle just crashing to the ground repeatedly.
Yeah.
It was
But
awesome.
I like the
I love
fact
it.
that all of it was holy water too, so it was like just instantly burning all these vampires.
I know. I also like how the undead Pope like burned himself because
I
he
don't
was
I don't think it's holy water. I think it's what I think it was because they were talking about the myth or if it's fact or fiction of it being running water.
No,
And the thing was that when
they
it
had
started
talked about
moving-
that prior, but then they had kind of squashed that.
Yeah, they dismissed it.
They
and
dismissed
then
that, but that
she
priest
had the Pope
definitely
bless the water.
blessed that water.
Ah,
And as soon as he finished the prayer, he started burning alive.
there we go. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must have walked out because I was like, I wondered if that was the case. I remember Godbrand like he's like, I don't think it's true. He's like, but I'm not dumb enough to try it. Like,
Right.
yeah, so I was like, laughing because when she created the tornado at that point, it would have been running water, like moving water. So I was wondering if that's what it was. Like it was a water with a current, so that's what it was. Like just pouring water on someone's not going to kill them, but a water with an active current, which a tornado or a hurricane would be. That's what I thought it was hitting him. I must have walked out the room on that one. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, though they stormed the castle, and they were, Dracula still had a few loyal generals with him there, and they were doing pretty good. And that's when, right around after that, that's when they plopped during that fighting. That's when she plopped the castle on top of them. Then they stormed the castle. Then basically everybody stopped. All the vampires stopped fighting each other, started fighting them. They all got quickly dispatched of. And Isaac kind of moved Dracula back when that happened. When Alucard entered the castle, he moved him back up to his chambers. And then that's when they got past, when Alucard and Krupp got past everybody. That's when he was just like, you've always been good to me, Isaac. Live your life kind of a deal. And
Right.
chucked him through the mirror. And then, yeah.
So
Yeah, he said that the only thing he ever wanted was to die in your service, and he's like, "Then I'm sorry that I can't grant that request," and threw him through the mirror.
yeah.
Son of a bitch.
And so we get a couple glimpses before the ending scene in this show. We see Camilla and Hector, and Hector's he's doing something in the destroyed city, and Camilla like opens up a door because it's still sunlight out, and then finally the sun goes down, and he's kind of in her servitude because she tricked him ultimately. And then at the end, she makes her intentions very well known and says, he's now essentially a slave to her.
She whooped that ass.
And she fucking beat him senseless.
She whooped that ass.
Isaac, on the other hand, out in the desert, was drinking
Did
from
not
a
get his
pond.
ass whipped.
And he had a couple, like 5 or 6 guys ride up on him on horses and then threaten to kill him or like enslave him and sell him. So he promptly took his like weird spiked flogging whip, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's exactly. That's kind of what it is. It's kind of a flogging whip.
and his knife, and he fucking annihilated all these guys. And then he decided he's going to bring them back because he is a forge master. And so now he is in the process of making his own army.
Yeah, he's making his own army to march back on the basically march back and I guess probably get revenge for Dracula.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Dracula.
Alucard was essentially decided to take up residence in Dracula's keep.
Yep, to guard over both Castlevania and the Trevor Belmont, or the Belmont estate.
Belmont estate. And then Belmont and Sypha are a thing now. They're an item, and then they decide that they're going to go adventuring.
They don't officially
They
make it an item,
really
but they
heavily
effectively
lean
are.
towards that.
They lean towards which makes sense. I mean, I think canonly it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, effectively, she's like, or you could travel with me. She's like, you could do that, or you could travel with me. And he's like, why would I ever do that? She's like, because you're happier. And he didn't really disagree. Him and Alucard had a tender, brotherly kind of send off.
Yep.
They kind of flicked each other off.
Yep.
And yeah.
Then the show. I do not like how the show ends, but the show literally ends with Alucard crying.
You mean the season ended? There's another season.
Yeah, I mean that's what I meant.
There's more seasons.
Yeah, but
Dracula's not dead. Dracula never does in Castlevania.
No.
He always comes back.
Dracula's dead, but
No.
we still have Camilla and Hector, and then Isaac and
Right.
company. So,
But you see how Dracula's composed of all those souls? I'm almost certain there's a way to like bring the essence of Dracula back. It's gonna happen.
yeah, I bet you Isaac is the one who does it.
Possibly.
So, fun fact.
So, okay. I have fun facts too.
Okay, fun fact: Hector is the main protagonist in the Curse of Darkness. I'm guessing that's the video game.
You have the same fun facts that I have. Yeah, I looked up video game stuff.
Oh, okay. I mean, you can say more. I was just gonna say that Isaac is in the Curse of Darkness video game is voiced by Liam O'Brien, who I'm a big fan of. He does the voice of Illidan in WoW, amongst many others. So, anyway, what were your fun facts, video game wise?
Well, one was that Hector was first introduced as one of the two playable protagonists in Castlevania Curse of Darkness. The other one being Trevor Belmont, so he teams up with Trevor Belmont in the video game to beat Dracula. Giving up his powers, Hector decides to live a normal life, falling in love with a church healer named Rosalie. But soon his past catches up with him, as Isaac caused Rosalie to be burned at the stake as a witch, which is similar to what happened with Dracula.
Yeah, man. You know,
And-
I'm glad that priest got what he got. Because, dude, Dracula's
The
wife
priest
was
is an asshole.
Dracula's wife wasn't doing nothing. She was like
No,
healing people.
but I mean, that's very much how the fucking Catholic Church was back then.
I know.
If they couldn't explain it in the Bible, it was of the devil.
What was
It
that?
pretty much.
What was that? The guy bumped into what was it? A centrifuge or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
And it
He's like,
started
oh, it
spinning,
moves
and
on
he's
its
like,
own.
oh my god,
Oh.
it moves by itself.
And then the part that threw him over the edge, though, is when she kind of like made the argument, and she was like, "This has nothing to do with any god." And he's like, "Nothing to do with God."
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I shall smite you down, woman. Yeah, pretty much. He's an asshole. Yeah. So fun fact. So the most recent entry into the Castlevania game, I think it's most recent entry, at least most recent AAA entry into the Castlevania games, Lord of Shadows. The main character is Gabriel Belmont, who is actually the father of Trevor, but later in the game he gets kind of possessed by the spirit of Dracula and becomes Dracula. Gabriel becomes Dracula, and then I think in the Lord of Shadows 1, Gabriel becomes Dracula. Lord of Shadows 2, you play as Trevor, who becomes Alucard. So technically they're one and the same in that universe. So they both have like a vampiric side. Trevor's vampiric side is Alucard. and Gabriel's vampiric side is Dracula, although he kind of fully embraces the whole Dracula spiel at that point.
I don't know.
And goes into it.
That.
You don't have to like it; it's fine.
So I have more about Forge Masters. While we mostly see Hector and Isaac acting as necromancers for Dracula, bringing back the dead and turning them into monsters, Forge Masters can also summon demons and other creatures from beyond the veil. Carmela was also in the video game. Castlevania's version of Carmela first appeared in Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest as a boss monster. She is depicted as a naked woman behind a mask or riding on a large skull.
Yep, I remember that. She was fun.
In some games, she's been called Camilla and others Vampira. But she's all the same character.
Now, we probably... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Barilla. The site of Season 2's big battle and the subject of much of vampire debate inside of Dracula's castle is a real port city in Romania, located on the Danube River, Europe's second longest river. So that was the Danube. The Danube is now holy.
Holy water.
Yep.
So, Devin, we might have covered this the first time we talked about Castlevania stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the first Belmont?
The first Belmont,
Like the first Belmont that started this crusade.
We did cover that at some point. It was Leon.
It was Leon.
Yeah, it was Leon Belmont. So if you go down the Belmont family tree, which I think we did before, you have Leon Belmont and an unknown woman, who officially gave birth to some unknown descendants who, eventually gave birth to Trevor. Leon was also engaged to Sarah, who became a vampire. I think she was like one of the bosses in that game. She became a vampire. Trevor wound up marrying Sypha. They had two unknown descendants, and then they gave birth to Christopher. Well, those descendants gave birth to Christopher Belmont, who had an unknown wife, who gave birth to Soliu Belmont, who had an unknown wife, who had unknown descendants in between, who gave birth to Simon Belmont with an unknown woman, and then Simon had a son or daughter. Simon's son or daughter married an unknown man or woman, who gave birth to Just Belmont, Juste Belmont, who married Liddy. They had unknown descendants who gave birth to Richter, who married Annette. They had unknown descendants who gave birth to Julius.
All right.
There we go.
What about the other one that you mentioned?
Which one?
Gabriel?
Gabriel that's in the Lord of Shadows timeline. So he would be Trevor's father. He'd be one of Leon's descendants down there. But it's not listed in Lord of Shadows is kind of makes up its own canon. So for instance, I can go to the Lord of Shadows family tree, which I have a link right here for. Boom. Lord of Shadows family tree, you have Gabriel as the first one, and then Marie. They gave birth to Trevor, who then obviously that stayed the same. Married Sypha, who gave birth to Simon, who married Selena, who gave unknown descendants, who eventually gave birth to Victor. So Gabriel was the first because obviously Gabriel eventually became Dracula, so he had to be the first one because he became Dracula.
Giovanni is a descendant of Ronaldo Gandolfi, who aided the Belmont clan.
There we go.
There's just so much lore in this. What's the word I'm looking for here?
Well, you know what we should do one episode? We should do a series. We should break down the.
Oh, look, Baba Yaga's in here.
She is. We should break down the.
Which draws in fate.
We should break down the understanding of of Vampire the Masquerade. We should break down the history of Vampire the Masquerade.
Okay.
We should do that when a few. That's gonna be more than one episode. A few episodes.
Like the canonic
Yeah. Yep.
history of it.
Yep.
All right, I mean, I'm game for that. It's going to require some
Multiple
fucking-
episodes. Prep and multiple episodes.
Lots of prep.
That's what I was figuring. We can break it down into like 6 parts or something. And like part 1 cover like from the beginning to that, and then beginning to like maybe
I don't
up
think
to
you
like
need
covering
that
up to.
many episodes.
Yeah, it
probably
depends on how
do
deep you want to
two-
go.
you could
I
probably
mean,
do
we could
2 or
probably do
3.
an entire episode, we could do an entire episode each on the formation of the Camarilla and the formation of the Sabat. Each have their own episode.
Well, I mean,
If you really wanted to go in depth.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm game. Fuck it.
Go.
Why not? I know
I love
Donnie
it.
would
Oh
listen
yeah,
to that
Scarecrow.
episode.
You would. Scarecrow, Lord of Shadows. I forgot about that.
Look, I was super fast. Kane had babies. Those babies had babies. Kane ate his original babies. The other babies went underground to hide. Boom. Done.
Shit, He's got it, folks.
Pretty much. Cain had brother. Cain killed brother. God cursed Cain. God cursed Cain. Lilith assists Cain. Give him vampire powers. He gives powers to
Wrong.
children. No, you're right. Yeah, I put that up. She didn't. Yeah. No, no.
Wrong. It was the
Nitrogen was way faster.
It was the angels that cursed him. And
Yeah.
Lilith just showed him how those curses could be used beneficially.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
There you
no,
go.
I mean that all gets explained in the Book of Nod.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, you could easily make it a long.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do it. Fuck it.
We could do a whole episode on just the Book of Nod.
I wouldn't want to.
Why?
Have you actually read it?
I have. It reads like what you call it?
The Bible. It reads like
Yep.
the Bible, Devin.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
not.
I know.
It's not good.
Here we go. All right. They apparently they gave a stat sheet. They gave a Netflix stat sheet for Godbrand.
Oh God.
So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, out of 10 dots, he has 6 dots of strength, 8 dots of evilness, 5 dots of charisma, and 10 dots of turning humans into boats.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
And he got taken out by a human.
He did. I kind of want to say, hold on, I got to go to the actual the Castlevania. I want to like pull up other characters, see if they gave them the other characters. Too?
I'm curious to see what they gave Isaac.
Oh, by the way, the Morningstar Whip was a nod to the video games because that's the most powerful vampire killer whip you can get in the game, in all of them.
Yep.
So when you start the game, you just have a normal ass whip.
You do.
And then you just
start off
upgrade
with-
your whip throughout the
You
game.
start off with
depends.
leather,
It
then you can
actually
get the
depends.
thorn one and stuff.
It
like
depends on the game and the character you're playing. Like, for instance, one of my favorite Castlevanias is Circle of the Moon. You don't play a part of the Belmont clan. You play like, hold on, Circle of the Moon. No, you do play a part. No, it's not the Belmont clan. It's the Baldwin clan. But you're not a part of the Baldwin clan. You're kind of taken in
Like Alec
by
Baldwin.
them. Yes, Alec Baldwin. No, you play as what is his name? You play as Nathan Graves, who was taken in by the Baldwins, but he has what's called, I think, what's his whip called? I think his whip is called. Here we go. Nathan Graves and Hugh Baldwin. There we go. Vampire Hunter's Morris Baldwin and his apprentices Nathan Graves and Hugh Baldwin. They're headed to that. They a few seconds too late, and Camilla, a main of Count Dracula. That she started the right to revive her master, so she revives Dracula. They get there too late. Then she drops him. Then Dracula revives, drops him down a pit to the bottom of the castle. Then they have to fight their way out the catacombs, all the way snake back up to the top, and that's when you start playing the game. But he gets the Hunter's Whip. Hugo becomes a bad guy because he was upset that basically his father chose him over him over his own son. The Hunter's Whip has an ability of, in the game, every time you kill a creature, you can get kind of its essence, and it can take on the essence of the creature. So you can get I think it's Salamander. I think you fight Salamander, and you can get Salamander, which gives your whips fire capabilities. Then you get other part of the whips with other cards that you can mix with the whip, and you can do different things. Like one shoots like fireballs out of the whip. One has like it's like a fire, like it's a longer whip, and it has like an AOE. So there's depends on the character in the game, and then also later you can play as Hugh, or even you can play as Alucard in some of the other games. He uses his sword, so you don't always have a whip. But in most cases, if you are going to be going down the I think the vampire killing whip or whatever, that is usually the strongest version of the whip.
Is the mace whip?
The mace whip is usually the strongest one.
Now, is there a storyline reason why the mace whip is the strongest one?
It was just the whip used by the first Belmont Leon. It was Leon's whip, so they just kind of made it like it kind of became a relic in its own right.
Right.
Now, unlike the chain whip known as the vampire killer, the hunter whip is a leather whip. It cannot be held limp.
Now, the mace whip, is that essentially just a mace that like it extends into that whip? Because Trevor just had it wound up on his belt like his whip, like a whip.
No, that's what it is.
Morning Star.
It's a
not a mace. It's a morning star.
It's a morning star with a really long chain. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right.
Yep. It's effectively a ball and chain. I mean, that's really what it is. It's effectively like a ball and chain with a handle. So I mean,
Gotcha.
That it's technically a morning star, but it's really unruly to be a standard morning star. So the closest thing would be like a ball and chain with a handle.
Right.
Yep.
I really like that scene where they're where Alucard and Sypha are researching to try to get the castle move, and Trevor's like, "I'll buy you guys time," and he like runs all the way the fuck up to the stairs to the entrance to the place, and then this big fire-breathing demon. He's like, "Oh, good, a fire-breathing demon in a building full of dried wooden books."
All right. So I'm getting cards for people real quick. So I'm gonna grab the cards for all the main cast here. I gotta grab Sypha's. And then let me grab.
Oh god, Edquist is gonna think Sypha has 10 and everything.
No, I mean, you're not wrong.
She's not God.
She's not.
Whatever her will can manifest, she can do. So that makes her God.
I will say this: if that's her power, she is not very willful. I mean, she only did.
And actually, she's not even religious. Isn't her whole thing about like keeping secrets?
No, she's
from
very
God?
much Yeah, she's very anti-religious. Like, basically, she says a lot of the reason why she is so powerful is because people who are religious put themselves in a box and can't see the world for what it is. So that's why she's able to do what she does. Kind of, she can see the magic in the world because they push those practices away, and wish for miracles and stuff like that instead of using their willpower to make their own statements.
Yeah.
So, okay, so this is effectively, Dracula is
a 10 and
Abraham. No, he's Abraham.
All right, let's hear Dracula's stats.
Strength 10, evilness 10, charisma 10, hatred for humanity 10.
Fair assessment. What about Isaac?
Isaac is... I do like that concept art for Dracula, though. Nice concept art. Isaac. Bam. Isaac. Strength is a 2. Evilness is a 10. Charisma is a 3. Loyalty to Dracula is a 10.
His charisma is a what?
A 3? Yeah, 3.
Really?
Yeah.
He seemed more
Cypher's strength is probably low. Her just regular strength is probably low. But like magic power 10, snarkiness 10.
We're talking about Isaac.
No, I know.
Guy, let's go Sypha next.
Godbrand. Sypha's next. All right, let me close that so I can clear out some of these things. Sypha, bam. Sypha, strength of 2, wisdom is an 8, charisma is a 3, and carrying team is a 10. She's the carry, baby.
Fair.
She's the carry. Because they pretty much couldn't do anything if she wasn't there.
What about Trevor?
Trevor is... I
like how they all have like an oddball thing at
the
end.
I love Trevor's oddball, though. All right, this is Trevor's strength is 9, wisdom is 3, charisma is 9, sobriety is 1.
Wow, Trevor's strength is a 9?
I'm thinking it's in relation to human stats, if that makes sense. Like a 10 for a human is different than a 10 for a vampire. That's how I'm looking. I mean, for a human,
he's a strong dude.
I mean, he was kind of going toe to toe with vampires. Like he wasn't really overpowered by the vampires he was fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they are stronger than humans, so I mean, it would make sense. Alucard, strength is a 9, wisdom is a 6, charisma is a 8, fighting shirtless is a 10.
God damn it! All their oddball ones is so fucked up.
Hector, strength 3, evilness is 6, charisma is a 2, necromancing is 10.
Now, who's a better Forge Master? Hector.
I think
Isaac?
Hector's a better Forge Master because Hector is like he was the one who was like the gifted Forge Master.
Now, is it necromancing or neck-romancing?
Oh,
No, it's necromancing.
I hate everything.
You just said. I know.
Necromancing.
Carmilla.
Yep.
Carmilla. Strength 6, evilness 10, charisma 7, loyalty to Dracula 1.
Just not very loyal.
No,
He should have seen that shit coming.
I think he did.
No, I think Isaac told him, and I think I think it's less that he saw it coming and more that he just didn't care anymore.
I mean that too. I mean, I firmly think that was the case. But all I gotta say about that is these hoes ain't loyal.
Yep.
These hoes ain't loyal. Let's look at the bishop. Does the bishop have stats? I'm curious if the bishop has stats. Damn it, bishop don't have stats. I'm sad.
Bishop.
Damn you, bishop. You don't have stats.
No, okay, let me ask you this. This is a question for both of you. Out of all of the various monsters and demons and whatever they called them, knight, whatever, they had a specific name. Were there any that stood out that were your favorites? Out of like the Dracula minion things.
I like that one crow that what's his name fought the crow guy that he fought.
Trevor fought.
Yeah,
That used his wings and stuff as like a shield.
yeah, I really like that guy. He was cool. He was dope.
Edquist, what about you?
Not really. I mean, they all were kind of generic monster things, sort of.
No way. The crow guy stood out.
Ugh.
I liked the
There were
guy.
several crow guys.
I liked the guy with the bandage over his eyes and the big pole arm.
Oh yeah, he was cool too. He was cool.
Okay, so let me ask you this: out of the main, the D&D party, the 3 people. First off, they don't have a fucking healer. What kind of fucking party is this?
They don't get hurt.
That's not true. Sypha got her fucking arm torn open. She had to fucking
did.
burn herself to cauterize the wound.
Hey, there you go. That's a form of
That's
healing,
not healing. That's literally just stopping the bleeding.
which you're no longer taking damage, so you're kind of healing.
She should have taken burn damage from it. I don't think she did.
She doesn't take burn damage from her own fire. Her own fire doesn't burn her. She didn't will it to be.
So out of the main 3, who are your guys' favorites?
Oh, Syphal dead.
Yeah, Sypha. Even though she's OP.
You say she's OP, but she's the only one that actually take any serious damage.
Yeah, but that's just because they touched her. She could have been like, snap my fingers and you're dead. She just doesn't. She doesn't want people to know how powerful she is. They're like, I'll be a greater threat than Dracula. I should tone this down a bit.
That's how that works.
She ripped the fucking castle across the country. It didn't even break a sweat.
I'm almost certain she didn't do that specifically. She used the magic that was teleporting the castle itself. She manipulated that magic to teleport it there, but it was fighting back. And then she just kind of overrode the gears in that process.
Can we just talk about how the magic that teleports the castle is run off a D20?
I mean, what else would you run off of? Webby magic only works when you roll D20s. You didn't know that?
Yeah, well, I guess it took her several rolls to get that castle where it wanted to go.
It did. It did. It did. So my question is: is there only 20 cities where he can go, or can you combo roll?
Oh, he probably combo rolls. Yeah.
I mean, that has to
But no, I did like the fact that it was a
be D20.
D20.
End of the
Yeah.
castle.
What's the name of that shape?
A icosahedron?
What?
An icosahedron?
I don't like that. That doesn't even sound familiar.
A convex regular icosahedron. Icosahedron. There we go. Oh, it's ICOSAHEDRON. Icosahedron.
I don't like it. It's a D20.
I mean, so ICO definition. Not that what I'm looking for. I'm looking for like the ICO. What's the suffix of ICO? Oh, prefix, not suffix. So the prefix for it's so in multiple proportional. Okay, we're getting into deep math here, and I'm not about to do this. We have to go back into Greek prefixes.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. We're getting into in the multiple proportional quantitative. We should do a cheeky episode with math.
You know what? Out of all the different dice and their weird ass fucking names for their shapes, I like the D12 and the D4.
Yeah, the dodecahedron. I've heard that before.
Yeah,
and the tetrahedron.
Yep.
That's good enough for me. Math lesson over.
No, my favorite one has to be by far is the D17.
It's math lesson is over now, Devin.
D17.
Did you not just hear me?
Well, if you only add a few numbers on, it gets weird. Like 24 is a pentagonal icosahedron.
Math is over, people.
Rob, next time we play any game, every time you roll dice, just say the proper name. Piss Webby off. Like, Webby, I need you to roll.
Webby, please roll me an icosahedron. A hexachondrohedron, please.
Quit.
Webby's like, I quit.
I'm
I'm
out.
done. Kill all my characters. I don't care. That's funny.
Equus, how's Diablo 3
Oh my god.
going?
Please roll a tetrachus cube.
Nope. I don't even want to know.
It's going okay. I haven't been playing since we started this.
No.
I'm just sitting. I have been disconnected from the network. So
You're such a good boy. Look at you.
Oh boy. All right. I mean, that's all we have. That's all I have on Castlevania, the Netflix thing.
Yeah. Go watch it, guys. It's good.
It is pretty good.
Go watch it.
It took me longer to watch it than I thought. I kept getting sidetracked with other things, but
And he did. It's true. And I was like, bro, man, why you hating, man?
and then there was the morning that I decided to start. I got all excited and I started texting Devin, and he's just like, "Why are you so chipper this morning?" And I was like, "Fine."
It's true. It's true. That's exactly what happened. Because I came back with some good logic. I'm like, Webby, we fucking hate people.
I'll have you
don't
know,
like.
Devin, that comment was the start of my shitty ass week. It was literally all just a shit slide down
it
the hill.
just spiraled from there.
So what you're saying is, you hate me because I teleported an elevator. That's what you're saying. That's what I'm getting from this conversation.
Nah, I gave you bonus XP for that.
Just like Sypha, you were like, I'm going to take this thing and take it where it doesn't belong.
Yes.
I'm not even going to break sweat.
I mean, okay, so technically, Sypha has one path of thaumaturgy. She has the, she has Rego Magica. That's the only path she has, which I think Webby might know what Rego Magica is specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if that's what she's got, I want it.
She has 5 dots of Rego Magica. That's what she has. No.
You said I could have anything.
No, I said you can ask for anything.
Rego Magica, bitches.
Denied.
Rego Magica.
All right. Well,
Effectively, Rego Magica is a path that lets you create other paths. It's a fabled path that lets you create other paths. What? What? Did you not want me to say that?
math is over, folks.
That had nothing to do with math.
You're a bad person. You do bad things, bad man.
What? What is the problem with that?
Okay, we're done the episode. Tell people where you can be found. Devin, start with you.
You guys can find me at Perdo Magica on Twitter.
I hate everybody so much.
Webby, don't worry. I said Perdo Magic. It counted what I said before. It's fine.
Oh.
My only goal is to make you feel better.
Edquist, where can people find you?
You can find me at triptahedronw.
Rego Mains, bitch!
That's a good time to just start playing the outro music. Right here.
I just want to go on record and say this. Webby saying he had a shitty week, but I did make him laugh.
You also make my head hurt.
We're also talking over the outro music. That's now
That's
tradition.
fine. Everybody
always
goes
do.
to it.
It's tradition now.
I think I have the highest record of not talking over the outro music, so I can afford one more time.
Hey, all I know is fuck Booster Gold and fuck Shapes and fuck the pair of you for making me think about all this.